morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
So we heard from Jim that the future of the automobile is going to be, at least in the near term, somewhat of a grab bag. We have electric and hydrogen, hybrid. And Manuel, how does BMW look at the roadmap for the future? You have this terrific i3 out in the foyer, and it looks like you're making a big bet on electric. Are you hedging your bets too, like Toyota, on the technology?
We see a lot of different technologies being available for the future. Of course, right now, what is available and suited for the market, it is electromobility. We see with different car companies now launching cars that are really good and really up to date in terms of technology, in terms of what they deliver for customer demands. Now the time is right for electromobility. But when we look at the further future, of course, other technologies like hydrogen will be suitable as well. But there need to be steps that need to be taken in terms of development, in terms of infrastructure, to make that suitable as well. So right now for us, electromobility is the first and really necessary step into a new form of drivetrain. But there will be further technologies coming up as well.
Right. I mean, you have a partnership with Toyota on fuel cells, is that correct? Or you're working on the technology, the base technology?
We're working and especially researching also on the base technology, especially for the cell technology, which means which direction is the battery technology leading to? Are there going to be different chemistries in the near future that might use or deliver more capacity that might reduce the cost? So by knowing that, we can very well sense what we need to purchase, what we need to develop, and where the road is going to.
In the meantime, we're building electric cars, and in our afternoon session, we're going to try to figure out how we get 1 million on the road by 2017 in the United States. Is that a totally unrealistic goal? Or is it possible, and if so, how do we get there? What do we need right now? And then we'll go over to Carla, and we'll get her observations on how the utility sector can maybe help that growth occur.
I don't think it's unrealistic. It depends on so many different factors. Electromobility is a very complex new market, complex new technology, which means everyone that has a stake in electromobility, not only the OEMs, but also the utilities, the governmental side, the customers, infrastructure providers, everyone has to take a part on the table and make it possible. So I wouldn't say it's unrealistic, but everyone needs to take his steps and do what's necessary to make it possible.
Is everyone playing nice?
It depends what you call playing nice. I would say, especially if you look at the governmental side, it is a very heterogeneous field, especially looking onto Europe, where we launched the i3 in November of last year. You see different countries have a different approach to what are renewable energies, how to support electric cars, like parking, for example, in the cities is for free in a lot of the Scandinavian countries. So everything that needs to support the electric car owners and make them or create them the feeling that what they're doing is the right thing, this is something that would support it. So it is very heterogeneous. There are a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different strategies. And as a car company launching and selling the car all over the world, of course, we have to interact with each single strategy and philosophy to make it possible.
Right. So Carla, what's the role of the utility sector in California in helping electric car acceptance grow?
Well, first I want to follow up on a comment that was made earlier about where we're going in terms of the types of fuels we're using. We're entering, both on transportation and electricity, a multi-fuel world. No longer are we going to rely on only one source for transportation or for electricity. And so I do see a place for both EVs, hydrogen, as well as natural gas, for example. So in terms of the utility role, it's exciting because the utilities business is selling electricity. And our primary goal as a PUC is to make sure that electricity is safe, reliable, and affordable. And we're seeing increasing opportunities to intersect the electricity sector with the transportation sector. So we had historically focused on minimizing the grid impacts of EVs, but now we're focused on how to maximize the value of those vehicles to the grid. And so specifically, there's a real opportunity to correlate transportation electrification and renewables development. We are starting to see in California significant investment in renewables, and we're getting into periods where we're seeing overgeneration of solar power during the daytime and overgeneration of wind power at night. Now, that energy is wasted if we don't have another way to use it. And electric vehicles, by providing a new load that can charge during the daytime when there's excess solar, or at nighttime when there's excess wind, can be a win-win because it provides a load to the utilities, so there's some sales to come from that. And these vehicles can also provide grid services. So by doing controlled charging, what we're calling vehicle grid integration, these vehicles can provide voltage and VAR support and deal with a number of the renewables integration challenges that have been on folks' radar recently.
So the idea is that electric cars can act as a giant backup battery for utilities and sort of level out the grid. And I mean is that real now? Can that happen, or do we need a new generation of smart grid technology to make it happen?
It's in development. There's a number of things we're going to need to make that happen. There's technology improvements, and particularly on the communication software. And so we've supported a number of pilots that are aimed at figuring out what's needed to send to the EVs, appropriate signal about when to charge. So for example, there's a pilot that just finished between Honda, IBM, and PG&E, looking at a PEV cloud communication platform, and really looking to see, can EVs get that signal? Can you coordinate all those various actors? So numerous pilots are going to support this, but a key element is going to be the pricing and the rate structure. And so as a utilities commissioner, this is where I'm focused about what's the right incentive structure to provide EV drivers. And we have a current proceeding that's looking at this and bringing all the parties together.
Manuel, is having to a consumer, does it make sense to have an electric car be able to feed electricity back into the grid? Is that something desirable? Can you make money doing that? I mean, what's the rationale? And do your cars have the intelligence in them to do that?
I mean, we as a car manufacturer are very interested in a technology like this, because everything that has a customer benefit but also has a benefit to the entire grid is something that we in this new market and this new technology are interested in. Of course, we need to develop cars that are capable of doing that, because when you're looking at an electric car, every charge where you put in electricity into the car and using it, this is of course using the battery, which means attaching it to the grid in order to level out the entire system will also use the battery as if you would be driving it. So we need to find a very fine balance between using the car for driving and for maybe storing electricity in order to maintain a long-lasting battery at the same time. But we even go one step further with our battery ideas in terms of what can be a consumer benefit, and that is a second use for the batteries. We had an electric field trial with around 600 electric minis around the world, and we're using those batteries that we took out as an energy storage for renewable energies. We have a technology office in Mountain View, California, where we use those batteries for the solar energy that the entire facility is gaining during the day. So this is a pilot for us to think about a business case for customers using their batteries or the batteries in the car for a second life use in a second business case.
Interesting. Carla, last word here. I can't believe we're running out of time already, but what's the biggest thing that needs to happen to really spur mass adoption of EVs in California?
So I wanted to clarify, too, that one of the key barriers is cost. And so when I talk about benefits to the utility, we're talking about monetizing these benefits so that ultimately they can get back to customers. And so anything that we can do to lower the cost by quantifying those benefits will be key. So cost is a barrier, but we're seeing progress on that. There's some terrific leases out there, for example, and the fact that California is nearing the 100,000th electric vehicle sold is a real milestone that we're proud of. Another one is customer awareness. When we started really digging into these issues in 2009, there was one electric vehicle on the road, the Tesla Roadster. And now we're seeing over 25 different models available. And so I just don't think customers know what's there. It's also how we choose cars. We're used to choosing them based on our family size and our travel patterns. Now we need to think about, where do we live? Where can we charge? What's available? And so on the charging front, we've seen a lot of penetration of EVs within single-family homes because people can charge in their garage. But if you're like me, you live in an apartment building, where do you go? And so we're looking with the utilities and various other state agencies about how to incentivize charging in the workplace and apartments.
Fantastic. Okay, we're going to go into this in much more depth this afternoon after lunch in our EV Sustainable Solutions session. Let's give a big hand to Manuel and Carla. Thank you very much. Terrific. Thank you. Thank you, Manuel. Go ahead. I have to do a little more.